I had a couple of conversations with people that I thought were kind of tremendous, insightful conversations. The first was somebody who was like, I know an avoidant person because they're avoiding me. Which I've heard, that one is cliche. It's profound, but it's cliche. It really is. I mean, I've heard that so many times, and it's just dead wrong. So if that's what you're thinking avoidance means, is that you're avoiding people, this is not true. Avoidant people like other people and want to have relationships and crave relationships. So they don't avoid people. If you're in some sort of relationship with somebody, if it's a family member, if it's a friend or something like that, and they're avoiding you, there's the cat. That's not necessarily avoidance. As a matter of fact, the second conversation that I had, the one that was like, I've got to make a video about this. This should be the first thing that anybody ever reads when it comes to avoidant personality disorder ever, which is it's not the avoidance that makes people avoid people. It's depression that makes people avoid people. So if you are basically stuck in a hole, in a cave, in the dark, something like that, and it's making you feel unworthy at the moment of other people, and you haven't always felt that way. It's just now you can't force yourself to be around other people for whatever reason. That is a very huge sign of depression. Now, depression is a side effect of avoidant personality disorder, and this is true. The thing is that avoidant personality disorder, it's not necessarily that you avoid people. What it is that you avoid interpersonal relationships. You don't think they're worthy. You don't think you're worthy of them. So you basically back out of them. And you find any excuse to feel like you're being judged by somebody, or to feel like, I don't know, I had somebody that was nervous about, I don't really agree that this is avoidance either, but I was told that if you're snooping on somebody, if you're trying to find any information about them, that's going to make an avoidant person run. I'm not sure about that. It makes you uncomfortable, but make you completely drop somebody just because they're interested in you? I don't know. That's not canon, whatever they call it. So I don't know, but that's sort of the PSA, if ever there needs to be one, is that if you're avoiding somebody, that's not avoidant personality disorder. That is depression, which might have been caused by avoidant personality disorder and your extremely low self-esteem and feeling unworthy and all this nifty stuff, which would then cause depression, which would then cause you to avoid people. But it's not a part of avoidant personality disorder. And just like, oh, this guy, he's really great, but, you know, he's ignoring me. Definitely not avoidant personality disorder. You know, parents, that's the one that, oh, I can't even imagine doing that. But parents are like, God, my kid won't talk to me anymore. They must have avoidant personality disorder. No. They're not talking to you because they're not interested in talking to you, or they could be depressed. But they don't have avoidant personality disorder. That is depression. Avoidant people seek and crave interpersonal relationships, just a very few of them. They don't trust general people. They don't trust a lot of people. Once they've gotten somebody in their life, they don't let them go without a big giant fight, and without massive heartache. And they put up with unbelievable amount of crap. Well, first of all, because they think that's all they're worth. And secondly, because it's so awful thinking that somebody's going to leave, that you would put up with whatever they're going to throw at you, because that's better than being abandoned or rejected. So I really wish I could get that through some people's heads, that it's depression. And you know, and the reason why I get a lot of crap that I don't know, that I discriminate against people that are undiagnosed, or that I discriminate against people who have some symptoms and not others. But that's not what it is. First of all, I feel, I read another thing. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Somebody said, oh my goodness. You know, every once in a while I read something and it just completely ticks me off. Somebody said that lack of compassion is one of the hallmarks of avoidance. Wrong. That's 100% wrong. Actually, that person, it turned out that they had a different diagnosis where lack of compassion actually was one of the hallmarks of the actual diagnosis, but they didn't like their diagnosis, and they were saying that they were avoidant instead. And they were like, okay, well, this is me, so that's everybody that's avoidant because I am avoidant. The thing is, so that's insulting, hugely insulting, you know, but that's separate. What really gets me is, for instance, if you're not able to interact with people that you used to interact with, you just can't force yourself to do it, but once upon a time you could. I mean, the thing is that avoidance, if you have avoidant personality disorder, it doesn't ever go away. It's not like bipolar that comes and goes depending on the situation. You know, if you pick a person that you interact with, it's because you have fought your avoidance and gotten over your avoidance. And it's a real effort to actually interact with people. And yet, avoidant people do that all the time. They're constantly looking for somebody, sorry, I have a cat here, somebody who will interact with them. You know, if you're an avoidant person and you're not looking for somebody, if you've given up, or if you're thinking that maybe you're avoidant because you're avoiding people, no, that's not avoidance. That is a sign of depression. And the reason why I hammer that so much is because there are treatments that work for depression, and there's almost nothing that works for avoidance. It all backfires, it all circles around, and you end up right where you started. If you have avoidance, I wish nobody could have avoidance, because it's awful. And I mean, there are some good things about it. I mean, there are some really wonderful, like being compassionate and having massive empathy, that are hallmarks of avoidance. Just being very aware of other people and very sensitive to the effect that you have on other people. Those are great things, and those are basically everybody that's avoidant has them. But yeah, depression, there are treatments for depression. Even if you're avoidant and you're depressed, you can still treat your depression. You know, I mean, it could be that it's an organic depression and that, you know, medications don't work on your avoidance, but it would work on your depression and make your depression feel better. That's a possibility that actually really does happen. So, you know, if medicine never worked for you at all, but then all of a sudden you're really down in the dumps and you really are avoiding everyone and you're not even trying at all to keep even, you know, the 1 or 2 relationships you've got going, you're just trying to drop those 2. That's depression, and medication might work. Therapy could work. There are things that work if you're avoidant or you're not. But don't ever think that avoiding people means that you're avoidant or is a symptom of avoidance. Because avoidant people, even when they're not worthy, and even when they have this terrible self-esteem, and even when they don't trust people, and even when You know, they're sure that somebody's going to come and they like that little paranoid thing on the back of their head that somebody has ulterior motives about why they're interacting with something, or they're seriously deranged, or why else would they be interacting with you? You know, I mean, and that's usually taught. I mean, when I was 12 years old, I think I've told you this. When I was 12 years old, I was told explicitly that any man that was attracted to me was a dangerous person. You know what? When I was 12, that was true. But I still think that. I think that any man who is attracted to me at all there's something seriously wrong with them. They are messed up people, and they're dangerous, and I need to stay away from them. Yeah, I'm going to be single forever. So, you know, but in the end, yet, I have not been single my entire life. So I got over that, you know, pushed past the avoidance and those types of thoughts. I pushed past them. And every avoidant person does. And every avoidant person, if they're not in the process of pushing through and interacting with somebody, they're trying to figure out and thinking and wishing about interacting with somebody. If you stop that, that's depression, not avoidance. And you can work on it. And if all you're thinking is you put in avoids people in Google and says, oh, you're avoidant personality disorder, wrong. That is absolutely wrong. That is not true at all. That is not what avoidant personality disorder is. That is depression. And it's treatment, and you should try to get it and feel better.